In December 2019, a research station in the Arctic went silent for 72 hours. When rescue teams finally arrived, they found all 6 scientists alive, but they had no memory of 3 days, and the security footage showed them doing something impossible. Before we continue, subscribe and turn on notifications, because what happened at Station 37 has never been fully explained, and stories like this remind us that some mysteries are better left buried in the ice. Station 37 was never supposed to exist on any official map. Located 847 miles from the North Pole, this Norwegian research facility was built in 2017 to study something called deep ice acoustic anomalies. Strange sounds recorded beneath the Arctic ice sheet that didn't match any known geological or biological source. The station housed 6 people during the winter darkness. Dr. Sarah Chun, a glaciologist from Canada. Dr. Henrik Voss, a Norwegian geophysicist. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, a Japanese acoustic engineer. Marcus Webb, a British data analyst. And 2 support staff, Eva Larsen and Thomas Brenner, both Norwegian. They were scheduled for a 4-month rotation. They lasted 63 days. The mission was simple. 3 miles beneath the ice, hydrophones had detected rhythmic patterns, not random, not natural. Pulses that repeated every 19 hours and 41 minutes. Patterns that seemed to respond to lunar cycles. Sounds that, when played back, made people deeply uncomfortable. Dr. Chun described it in her initial reports as like hearing a heartbeat that doesn't quite match human rhythm. Close enough to recognize, wrong enough to disturb. The station was equipped with advanced seismic equipment, sound isolation chambers, and enough supplies to last 6 months. It had satellite communication that transmitted data every 6 hours. It had backup generators, emergency protocols, and a panic button that would alert Norwegian authorities within minutes. None of that mattered when the darkness came. November 17, 2019. Day 34 of the rotation. Dr. Tanaka reported the first irregularity. The acoustic patterns had changed. Instead of the steady 19-hour, 41-minute cycle, the pulses were now coming every 19 hours and 39 minutes. 2 minutes faster. Then 37 minutes. Then 35. The sound was accelerating. But it was what happened to the crew that should have been the first warning. Eva Larsen mentioned in a personal log that she'd been having dreams. Vivid, recurring dreams where she was standing on the ice outside the station, looking down at her own footprints. Except in the dreams, the footprints were walking away from where she stood, not toward the station. It's like watching myself arrive, she wrote. But I'm remembering it backwards. Marcus Webb began reporting technical glitches. Timestamps on data files that were impossible. Files created 3 minutes before the recording equipment was turned on. Security camera footage that showed empty rooms, but audio recorded conversations. Dr. Voss dismissed it as equipment malfunction due to the extreme cold. He was wrong. December 11, 2019. 6 p.m. local time. Station 37 transmitted its regular data packet. Everything was normal. Personnel reported no issues. Dr. Chan sent a personal email to her sister in Toronto, complaining about the food and joking about the creepy sounds they were studying. 6 hours later, at midnight, the next transmission never came. Norwegian authorities weren't immediately concerned. Technical failures happened. They'd wait for the 6 a.m. backup transmission. It never came either. By December 12th, emergency protocols activated. Weather conditions made helicopter rescue impossible. The nearest ground team was 340 miles away. They started moving, but the Arctic winter moves faster than any vehicle. For 72 hours, Station 37 was silent. No distress signal. No emergency beacon. No communication of any kind. December 14, 2019. 3:47 p.m. The rescue team approached Station 37 expecting the worst. Fire, structural failure, carbon monoxide poisoning, mass casualties. What they found was worse than death. All 6 personnel were alive, healthy, moving normally through the station, performing routine tasks, but when the rescue team made contact, none of them knew who they were. Dr. Chun looked at her own research notes and couldn't read them. Not because they were damaged, but because she didn't recognize her own handwriting. Henrik Voss stood in the kitchen making coffee, but when asked how he took it, he stared blankly and said, "I don't know. I don't know if I like coffee." Eva Larsson couldn't remember her own name until someone told her. They had no memory of the 72 hours. No memory of why communications were down. No memory of what they'd been doing. But they were all wearing different clothes than they'd been wearing 3 days earlier. Clothes that didn't belong to them. Eva wore Henrik's sweater. Marcus wore Sarah's research jacket. Thomas wore clothing that didn't belong to anyone at the station. The rescue team captain, Johan Cross, later testified, "They weren't confused or distressed. That was the disturbing part. They were calm, like people who'd just woken up from a normal sleep and couldn't understand why everyone was so concerned." The investigation team arrived 48 hours later. Station 37 was evacuated, and the 6 personnel were transported to a medical facility in Longyearbyen for psychological evaluation. That's when they reviewed the security footage. The cameras had recorded everything. Every single hour of the 72-hour blackout. 11:47 p.m. December 11th. All 6 personnel go to their quarters. Normal end-of-day routine. 11:58 p.m. Lights out in all quarters. 12 a.m. December 12th. The time when communication stopped. Then nothing changes for exactly 1 hour. At 1 a.m., all 6 personnel simultaneously exit their quarters. The footage shows them walking in perfect synchronization, not like they were coordinated, but like they were one person controlling 6 bodies. They walk to the main research lab. For the next 19 hours and 37 minutes, they stand in a circle around the acoustic monitoring equipment. They don't move. They don't speak. They just stand there. The cameras show their eyes are open, but medical experts who reviewed the footage noted their vital signs, recorded by the station's biometric monitoring system, indicated they were in REM sleep. Their bodies were awake. Their minds were dreaming. At 8:37 p.m. on December 12th, they all collapse simultaneously. 20 minutes later, they wake up, return to their quarters, and go to sleep normally. This pattern repeated for 3 complete cycles. But it was the audio that changed everything. During those 19-hour 37-minute standing cycles, the deep ice acoustic anomaly stopped transmitting its usual pattern. Instead, the hydrophones 3 miles below recorded something else. 6 voices, speaking in perfect unison, speaking languages that didn't exist. Dr. Reyes Montero, a linguist brought in from the University of Oslo, spent 4 months analyzing the recordings. He identified phonetic structures that resembled Norwegian, Japanese, English, and Mandarin, but the grammar was wrong. The syntax was backwards. It's like listening to 6 people speak every language they know simultaneously, but in reverse, he explained in his report. Not just the words backwards, the conceptual structure of communication itself is inverted. They're not describing things that exist. They're describing things that will exist. They're speaking memory forwards. No one understood what that meant until they played the recordings backwards. When reversed, the 6 voices spoke clearly in each person's native language. And they were having a conversation about what happened after the 72 hours ended, about the rescue team arriving, about being evacuated, about the investigation. They were describing the future with perfect accuracy. The 6 personnel underwent extensive psychological evaluation. None showed signs of psychosis, dissociation, or trauma. Their brain scans were normal. Their physical health was perfect. But there were anomalies. Dr. Chun could suddenly play the piano. She had no memory of learning, but her muscle memory was perfect. She could perform complex pieces flawlessly, then stop and have no idea how she'd done it. Marcus Webb began speaking fluent Russian. He'd never studied Russian. He couldn't translate what he was saying, the words just came out. Eva Larsson's handwriting had changed. Completely. Forensic analysis showed it wasn't imitation or disguise. Her actual motor patterns had been rewritten. During interviews, they all reported the same recurring dream now. Standing on the ice, looking at footprints that walked backwards, hearing a heartbeat that counted down instead of up. Dr. Voss broke down during his 4th interview. Something used us. he whispered. We were instruments. Whatever is down there beneath the ice, it didn't communicate with us. Communicated through us. And it's still there. Still sending its signal. Still waiting for someone else to listen. Researchers discovered something in the original mission data that had been overlooked. The 19-hour, 41-minute acoustic cycle matched something else. The orbital period of a small moon of Saturn called Pan. Exactly. But Station 37 was studying terrestrial phenomena. Why would a signal beneath Arctic ice sync with a moon 746 million miles away? Dr. Isaac Keller, an astrophysicist consulted on the case, proposed a theory that destroyed his career. He suggested that what the hydrophones detected wasn't coming from beneath the ice. It was being reflected by something beneath the ice. The actual source was outside our planet entirely. What if? He wrote in a paper that was immediately rejected from every scientific journal. We're not hearing something native to Earth. What if we're hearing an echo of something vast and old, and the ice is just the resonance chamber? What if by studying it we opened a door? His research showed that similar acoustic anomalies had been detected in deep ice on Mars, in the subsurface oceans of Europa, and in data from the Cassini probe near Saturn. Same rhythmic pattern. Same 19-hour, 41-minute cycle. His paper was classified. He was removed from the investigation. 6 months later, he disappeared while hiking in Norway. His body was never found. March 2020. The COVID-19 pandemic provided perfect cover. Station 37 was officially closed for budgetary reasons. The acoustic monitoring equipment was removed. The location was struck from navigation databases. The 6 personnel were relocated to different countries and given non-disclosure agreements backed by threats of prosecution. But someone kept listening. In June 2020, a Russian weather station 280 miles from Station 37's location reported similar acoustic patterns. Their 3-person crew experienced a 12-hour blackout. When they recovered, they had no memory and spoke in synchronized reverse speech. The station was immediately abandoned. Russia blamed equipment failure. In November 2020, a Chinese research vessel in the Arctic Ocean detected the pattern. They tried to move away. Their navigation systems failed. For 6 hours, the ship sailed in a perfect circle. The crew of 19 all reported the same dream. Standing on ice that wasn't there, following footprints that led nowhere. In February 2021, the pattern stopped. No explanation, no gradual fade. It simply ended. Every hydrophone in the Arctic went silent. The 19-hour, 41-minute cycle that had persisted for 3 years just stopped. Dr. Chun, still monitored by Norwegian intelligence, reported that the dreams stopped the same day. The backwards footprints, the countdown heartbeat, the feeling of being watched from beneath the ice. All of it stopped. In September 2023, Dr. Yuki Tanaka published a paper under a pseudonym in an obscure acoustic journal. In it, she proposed something that made her colleagues uncomfortable. What if the signal didn't stop? What if whatever was communicating simply succeeded in whatever it was trying to do? She analyzed the total hours of exposure experienced by all documented personnel who'd been affected. Station 37's crew, 72 hours. The Russian crew, 12 hours. The Chinese crew, 6 hours. 72, 12, 6. Each incident was half the duration of the previous one. It's not fading, she wrote. It's accelerating. It needed less time each time. Like it was learning how to do something faster. Or like each successful attempt made the next one easier. She calculated that if the pattern continued, the next incident would require only 3 hours of exposure. Then 90 minutes. Then 45 minutes. Then seconds. What happens? She concluded. When the required exposure time reaches 0, what happens when whatever is beneath the ice, or beyond our planet, no longer needs time at all to do what it's doing? The paper was removed from the journal within 72 hours. Dr. Tanaka's academic credentials were revoked. She now works at a bookstore in Kyoto and refuses all interviews. Station 37 still exists. The structure is still there, buried under additional snow now. The Norwegian government officially lists it as decommissioned research facility, but satellite imagery shows power signatures. Someone is still there. Someone is still listening. Of the original 6 personnel, 4 are alive. Dr. Voss died in a car accident in 2021. Though the police report noted his vehicle suddenly accelerated to maximum speed and drove in a perfect circle for 19 minutes before crashing. Eva Larsson was found dead in her apartment in Oslo in 2022. She had been dead for 3 days, but her computer showed she'd sent emails during those 72 hours. The emails were backwards. When reversed, they described her own death in perfect detail. Dr. Chun and Marcus Webb remain under surveillance. They've both reported that in December 2024, exactly 5 years after the incident, the dreams returned. The footprints walking backwards. The countdown heartbeat. But now there's something else. They both report seeing a 7th person in their dreams. Someone who wasn't at Station 37. Someone who stands at the center of the circle, facing outward while the 6 of them stand around the edges facing in. And this 7th person is looking directly at whoever is dreaming. Looking with recognition. Looking like they're waiting. Dr. Chun described it in her most recent statement. It's not showing us what happened. It's showing us what's going to happen. We weren't the first people it spoke through. We won't be the last. And the 7th person in the dream, that's the next one. That's whoever is going to listen next. And they're already listening. They just don't know it yet. In January 2025, an anonymous package was delivered to the Norwegian Meteorological Institute. Inside was a hard drive containing the original unedited security footage from Station 37. Footage that had officially been destroyed. The researchers who examined it found an additional 20 seconds at the end of the last recording that hadn't been in the official files. The footage shows all 6 personnel waking up after their final synchronized standing cycle. They return to their quarters normally, but just before the timestamp ends, all 6 simultaneously stop, turn, and look directly at the camera. Then they speak in unison, their voices perfectly synchronized. The ice remembers everything. The ice forgets nothing. When the last cold place melts, we will remember how to wake. And you will remember how to sleep. The timestamp on that footage? December 14th, 2025. 1 year in the future from when it was recorded. The package contained one additional item, a weather report. It predicted the warmest Arctic winter on record for 2025 to 2026. Ice melt at unprecedented rates. Deep permafrost thawing for the first time in 40,000 years. The report was dated December 11, 2019. The day communication from Station 37 stopped. Someone knew. Someone wrote this report 5 years before the data would exist to predict it. Someone at Station 37 saw the future during those 72 hours and wrote down what was coming. At the bottom of the report, in 6 different handwriting styles, was a single sentence written over and over, layered on top of each other. We are not saying this. This is saying us. The acoustic monitoring station that replaced Station 37's equipment continues to record. Every day, every hour, every minute. The deep ice is silent now. Number 19-hour cycles. No rhythmic pulses. No patterns at all. But in September 2025, technicians noticed something in the silence. The background noise, the natural sounds of ice shifting, water moving, geological processes, began to show a pattern. When played at 1,000 times normal speed, the random noise of the Arctic ice sheet itself creates a rhythm. 19 hours and 41 minutes. It's not a signal in the ice anymore. It's the ice itself. The entire Arctic ice sheet is resonating. 3 million square miles of frozen water, pulsing like a heartbeat, too slow for human perception but perfectly regular. And it's accelerating. The cycle is now 19 hours and 39 minutes. 2 minutes faster, just like it was at the start. Scientists are measuring it, recording it, studying it. They're listening. And listening is exactly what it wants. There's a clinic in Tromsø, Norway, where Dr. Sarah Chun gives lectures on climate science. She seems normal, functional, recovered. But those who've worked with her notice something odd. When she writes equations on the board, sometimes she writes them backwards. When she speaks about glacial formation, occasionally her sentence structure inverts. Subject and object switch places, like she's describing cause before effect. And in every lecture, always at the 19-hour 41-minute mark of her research rotations, she pauses, looks out the window toward the north, and for just a moment, her eyes lose focus. Students have reported that in these moments, if you listen carefully, she's whispering something. The same phrase over and over in 6 different languages simultaneously. When translated, they all say the same thing. It's not below us, we're above it, and we're getting thinner. The Arctic ice is melting. Every year, 3 feet of ice thickness disappears. Every year, we get closer to whatever has been trapped beneath it, or whatever has been waiting for us to come closer. And somewhere in the data, encrypted in the acoustic patterns, in the reverse speech, in the synchronized movements of 6 people who lost 72 hours of their lives, is a message. We thought we were studying it. We were wrong. It was introducing itself. An introduction is the first step before invitation. The footprints don't walk backwards in the dreams. We're seeing them wrong. They're not showing where we've been. They're showing where we're going. And we've already taken the first step.